What is going on today, Miami Dolphins fans? It is Ben Morgan of the Fins Up Network. Gave myself a little bit of a homework assignment for this one, doing a little bit of roster comparison. And that's what we're doing today. And actually, I'm going to cut this into two videos. We're going to do one for the offense and one for the defense today. We're specifically hitting on the offense. But looking at this Dolphins team, they kind of compare to each other from 2023 and 2024. Obviously, the last couple of seasons, we've made the playoffs. We've had some pretty fun, exciting times in the process, but did we do enough to take that next step, to get a couple of playoff wins? Or, did we just kind of plateau right there? Hey, did we lose enough guys to the point where we're going to end up regressing? That's kind of the homework assignment I wanted to give myself, because real quick before I jump into this, a few months ago, when you look at the way that the roster was constructed with the salary cap implications that were kind of lying ahead for us, I was kind of under the belief that this Miami Dolphins team, you know what, we might not be as good on paper in 24 as we were in 2023, but I think that we could do a couple of things to still remain competitive. Well, based on the kind of the findings that I have from going through this exercise, I actually think we're going to be just fine. The results actually were a little bit surprising to me. So I'll let you play along as well. I'm going to share my screen as I would for a video like this where I'm making some roster comparisons. We'll have the key guys from 2023, the key guys from 2024. Let me know which positional grouping between those 2 years do you think has the advantage as well. Like I said, I'm going to go through these positions. Let me share my screen here with you so I can show you what I'm talking about. I actually have it started here with the running backs. Now, before we get into the running backs, let's just talk about the quarterbacks real quick. I didn't make a quarterback graphic because the core guys, the top three guys between 2023 and 2024 remained the same. The only difference is Gavin Hardison. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on the quarterback position because, like I said, it's the same three core guys. The one thing about Gavin Hardison that I will let you know is that the Miami Dolphins coaching staff, front office is not necessarily thrilled with the idea of what we're able to trot out right now in regards to a backup quarterback. Now, I'm not saying that Hardison is the answer here, but the team is going to give him every chance to compete this offseason, at least based on what I've been told most recently, as the Miami Dolphins would love to upgrade the backup quarterback situation. Obviously, at this point in the offseason, a little bit easier said than done. If I had to give an advantage at the quarterback position, I'm going to give 2024 an advantage at the quarterback position over 2023. First, the pretty simplistic reason that it's another year in the offense for Tua and Mike McDaniel to really gel and talk about the evolution of the offense, which we're going to talk about here as we go through some of the other positions as well. But we think about players, positions kind of plateauing at some point in time where it's like, okay, this is your max. This is as good as you're going to be. I don't think 2023 Tua was that version. I don't even necessarily think 2024 Tua is going to be that version. I think we're going to see a better Tua in 2024 than we did in 23. And hey, I think there's even enough room in this offense to grow in 25, maybe even 26 before we really do hit that plateau. So yeah, like I said, I don't want to spend a ton of time on quarterback because I think we're going to have more of a conversation here on these other positions with different bodies, relatively speaking, compared to the quarterback position. So I will go advantage 24 at the quarterback position. But let's look at the running back. Obviously, that's where the share screen is at right now. I'm going with a slam dunk advantage to the 2024 roster at running back compared to 2023. Because if you look at it, you've got the same core guys. But what did you do? You added Jaylen Wright. Now, Jaylen Wright, when the Miami Dolphins traded up into the fourth round to select Jaylen Wright, I really thought they were going to go offensive line. I thought they were going to do something different with that selection. When they picked Wright, I was a little bit confused, but it didn't take long for me to understand the vision of what Mike McDaniel is doing here. Well, geez, it's a prerequisite to have the speed, right? Yep. Check that box. He absolutely has that. But now think about what you're doing in regards to the depth and what you're not taking off the field in case someone were to get hurt. Because you know a guy like Raheem Mostert, you know a guy like Devon Achane, they've got their injury histories. They've got that kind of going against them. So what happens now if one or both of those guys get hurt? Well, yeah, you don't want to put too much of an emphasis of a workload on a rookie running back, But if there's a position where you can do it, it is running back. And if you're going to find a guy that has maybe a similar skill set and you're not going to compromise on speed along the way, that is absolutely an upgrade because once again, what we've said, this team wants to create depth at these positions for if something were to happen, you're not going to see that drop off. You're not going to see a change in the way defenses have to prepare against you. So yeah, I'm absolutely going to say that 2024 is an upgrade to 2023, specifically because of how I think Jaylen Wright can jump into this offense. And maybe he doesn't need to be a huge statistical producer, but what he can do and the way he can fill in if something were to happen to Mostert and Achane. Not to mention the freedom and flexibility that provides a guy like Devon Achane, who he's said, we've seen, we've been told, getting more reps as a pass catcher this offense as well. So talk about the evolution of this offense. Maybe getting a guy like Devon Achane more looks out of the backfield or lined up out wide in the slot, out on the boundary, whatever it ends up being. The guy's running routes from all over the field. But Gabe, guess what? Now you've got a guy like Jaylen Wright that you can have in the backfield at that same time. The evolution of this offense takes another step forward because of a guy like Jaylen Wright. Let us go to the wide receiver position here. Once again, another slam dunk for me, 24 being greater than 2023. Look at the primary differences here. 2023, your primary differences here being Cedric Wilson, Robbie Chosen, Chase Claypool. While in 2024, you're looking at Odell Beckham Jr. and the Washingtons. Is there anyone that's going to vote for 2023 in this situation? We've been asking for a couple of years now for a third wide receiver to emerge. We thought maybe Cedric Wilson could be that guy. Robbie Chosen showed flashes in training camp. Chase Claypool was kind of always a big question mark. People thought maybe at some point he'd emerge. Wilson did fine in 2023. I'll give him that, especially compared to 2022. But I would say that we all have much higher expectations for a guy like Odell Beckham and what he can provide, not only as like that third pass catcher, but we talk about opening this offense up. He can play the slot. He can play the boundary. You can move around Tyreek Hill. You can move around Jaylen Waddle. Sorry, I shouldn't have to have a name blank when it comes to Jaylen Waddle. But you can move these guys around. You can have flexibility. You can do so much more offensively when you've got a veteran wide receiver that's crafty with his route running, that still has the speed, that has phenomenal hands of Odell Beckham Jr. And that's not to even mention the Washingtons yet. I don't want to say high hopes for a guy like Malik Washington, especially in year one. But man, the production that this guy had this last year in college, the ability that he has as a route runner, already showing better as a route runner in the pros than what the Dolphins thought he was going to do. Another sure-handed guy. This is another guy that maybe doesn't make a huge outright like statistical monster production year in 2024. But at the end of the day, at least something to build on. Guys that I'd rather have, you've already drafted him, being able to really get him into the system early and get him ready to go for when his number is called. I absolutely think that 2024 is a slam dunk over 2023. Speaking of slam dunks, man, the tight end position. This, in my opinion, is one of the biggest upgrades that we're going to see specifically on the offensive side of the ball. Because look at the two units right there, 23 to 24. You still got the blocking tight end in Durham Smythe. Nothing changes in there. But now you've added some legitimate pass-catching threats in Jonnu Smith and Jordy Fortson. Were any of those guys in 2023 a pass-catching threat? Durham Smythe got his number called in, I don't even want to say in crunch time, but in limited capabilities where he actually made it work. But at the end of the day, defensive coordinators weren't scared of the Miami Dolphins tight ends. Were we the only team that didn't throw a touchdown to a tight end last year? I expect that to change in 2024 with the likes of Jonnu Smith and even a guy like Jordy Fortson being highlighted as well. Talk about a guy at this position that we have not really been able to have since Mike McDaniel has taken over this team. Jonnu Smith is already one of the best after the catch tight ends in the entire NFL. And yeah, he's not the age where he was when he was doing all this stuff in Tennessee when he and Ryan Tannehill had a nice connection is there. But at the end of the day, he was still getting it done in Atlanta there when Kyle Pitts was expecting to be that guy. And yeah, Kyle Pitts is getting more of the attention as well. I'm not taking anything away from Kyle Pitts. But at the end of the day, you look at guys in this offense that Mike McDaniel can get the ball to and say, okay, we got the ball. Let your natural ability to take over. Jonnu Smith was made for this offense. Maybe he's not the box out tight end, the go get the ball up in the air, rebounding type of tight end. Jody Fortson can be that. Now, I don't want to get super high on a guy like Jody Fortson as well, because you kind of almost have to temper expectations when it comes to certain of these positions. We've already talked about so many skill guys that we need the ball to go around to. At the end of the day, there's only one ball. So I don't think Jody Fortson's going to be this statistical monster by any means as well. But guess what? If we need a box out rebound type of guy, jump ball type of guy, red zone tight end threat, maybe that's where Jody Fortson shows up. But I can't underplay the ability that Jonnu Smith has. We've talked about this before. There are very few tight ends in the NFL that you are going to try to set up a screen for. It's Kyle Pitts, it's Kelsey, it's Kittle. I mean, there are some. Jonnu Smith fits into that mold. So like I said, while he's limited in certain areas of his game, I don't think it's the areas that we necessarily need him to excel at. He is 100% going to make opposing teams need to cover the tight end in this offense, specifically as it compares to 2023, where it's like, you know what, those guys are going to be running routes, but Tua ain't looking at those. Tua can look at Jonnu Smith because Jonnu Smith not only can make plays down the field, but he can create after the catch as well. Let's go with the offensive line here to wrap things up. And you're going to see there that that's one of the positions where I gave the advantage to 2023. You're also going to notice, not only on this slide as well, but some of the other ones, that I left a couple of names off there, and it's probably the names that don't factor in as much. On the offensive line, I left out Ireland Brown, Jason Hines, Matthew Jones, Andrew Mayer, Baron Meadows, Ryan Hayes. Basically, all these guys are long shots to make the teams, or if they do, guys I don't see factoring in as to whether or not we were any better at the position in 2024 compared to 2023. But I'm going to take the 2023 unit in this situation, basically because of Connor Williams and, more importantly, Robert Hunt. Now, I am interested to see how a guy like Aaron Brewer does in comparison to center, does in comparison to Connor Williams at center. I like what Aaron Brewer can do in the run game. I know he's had some issues. He's given up some sacks here in pass protection. So that kind of has me a little bit scared. I am excited to see how he does there. Think about what he was battling in Tennessee as well. It's a pretty young team, turned to a rookie quarterback. Early parts of the offense, they didn't have an offense that was clicking like the Miami Dolphins. That was like 2.5 seconds, boom, ball is going to be out. Mike McDaniel is going to do some stuff that's going to help Aaron Brewer when it comes to pass protection. So I am excited to see that. I just think that Connor Williams was a little bit more solidified at the position. But if you look at that right guard position, I'm not breaking news here. Robert Hunt is a home run at right guard, either over Liam Eichenberg or Jack Driscoll. So yeah, I'm going to give 2023 the nod in that situation. Even if the Miami Dolphins bring in a free agent to compete with those guys at right guard, no one is going to compete with an offensive lineman at right guard that just signed $100 million deal. Yeah, we're not going to find that. We're going to take some lumps likely at that position. So I'm going to give 2023 the advantage. I do like that we brought in a project at right tackle for the future. If this isn't indeed Teron Armstead's last season, hey, you just gave this guy an extra year to learn around and behind one of the best in the entire game. So I do like we did that. It just doesn't do much for me in regards to this particular conversation. I'm going to stop the screen share right there. But if you look at the offense in general, like I said, as we went through that, only one positional grouping where I don't believe that we upgraded. And unfortunately, I don't want to say it's the most important, because I still think quarterback is the most important position in today's NFL. Offensive line is right there as well. And what concerns me is that not only did we not upgrade at offensive line from 23 to 24, it's not like we were super strong at offensive line in 2023 the way that it was. So the fact that we didn't even get a little bit better at that positional grouping is cause for concern. But what I do like is I gave the advantage to slight advantage at quarterback, a definite advantage at running back, a definite advantage at wide receiver, and a definite advantage at tight end. So we're going to go do the offense or the defense next as well. So we'll continue this experiment then. But like I said, your thoughts, where did we upgrade? Maybe where did we downgrade? Go ahead, drop those thoughts in the comments. We will wrap it right there for today, Miami Dolphins fans. Like I said, that we'll be back really soon here with the defensive side of the ball. Until then, Miami Dolphins fans, fins up.